So 3.19 has been in the PTU for a few days now, and as you might have guessed by the title and thumbnail, I've been throwing myself into the salvage game loop. I haven't been hard at it up until today as the terminals have been undergoing some fixes and the latest patch has finally gotten them working to the point where I can sell ship components, and since that change I've been loving what I've seen. Citizens, my name's Beard of Oz, and today I'll be updating you on the changes and additions to Salvage in the PTU for 3.19. I'll be discussing the additions of Salvage Missions, the expansion to the tractor beam functionality, and why I think industrial gameplay is going to get better and better as these patches roll out. If you enjoyed this video or learn anything new, consider leaving it a like, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. I have memberships available, so if you'd like to support the channel further, you can hit the join button for just $1. I also stream on Twitch, I'll leave a link to that in the description below. Alright, let's dive in. So as I mentioned, the latest patch to the 3.19 PTU dropped and my prayers were answered and the terminals appear to have been fixed, so now I can sell the components pulled from salvaged ships. So let's cover that just in case you weren't already aware. In 3.19, tractor beam functionality has been upgraded now with two distinct modes when using the handheld tractor beam attachment. It will default to detach mode, which is currently used for picking anything up, whether it be bodies and crates like we're used to, but now also ship components and weapons. In order for a ship's weapons or components to be detached, the ship's ports need to be unlocked. This is to prevent player shenanigans to unwilling recipients, or in a state of soft death. Note that if the ship is currently full deathed, is that a word? The weapons are irretrievable, so make sure to note that to your turret gunners if you're looking to salvage from downed vessels. There is also an unbound keybind for port unlocking and locking found in vehicle cockpit. I've used the F3 to toggle as well as the buttons on my sticks, but you can bind it where you please. Once you've unlocked the ports, you'll see this interface appear when using the detach mode, bearing in mind that gimbals are also a separate item when it comes to this function. The detach beam is a toggle, not a hold function, so you don't need to hold down the mouse button like you're used to. Once you've grabbed the item in question, let's say this ship weapon, a little arrow icon will appear. You'll need to pull the component away from its snap point indicated by this red arrow that turns green as you do, and the component will come free. To attach a component, it's the same but in reverse, keeping in mind the interface will inform you of the component or hardpoint size that you're trying to attach. Align the component until the UI snap shadow becomes green, then press your mouse button to disengage the beam and attach the component. Now, at this point in time, it's mostly going to be weapons that you can switch out and harvest from ships, as the vast majority of older ships, most ships pre-Hull A, haven't received a component pass yet, so as CIG rolls out these passes, that will expand. Sadly, that means until they do, looting higher-end ship components from AI won't be as prolific, but at least you can still snag the weapons, whether it's to upgrade your ship or to sell on. Speaking of selling on, this is the part I've been eagerly awaiting. Now bear in mind this is PTU, so prices to sell may vary, and there's still some slight bugginess when it comes to selling, so hopefully the team irons out these before releasing it to live. Collecting up the weapons from a ship is a great way to offset the cost of the salvage missions, which aren't overly pricey, but it's always nice to recoup the loss of a salvage cost. At the time of recording, the size 3 laser cannons earned me 10k and the size 4 laser repeaters also earned the same. I took the opportunity to see if mass sales of a unit to a location affected the sell price like commodities, and they in fact do, though only after quite a few sales. Getting the size 4s in the ship was a bit iffy, but thankfully didn't end with my death, so phew on that one. Now, here's my favorite part to all these additions. Up until now, the salvage gameplay loop has been closed to anyone who hasn't pledged the Vulture or purchased the Reclaimer in-game or has a friend with either of these ships to tag along. Now, with this additional version of salvage not just being limited to hull scraping, any citizen with the cargo hold space to store ship components and weapons can stock up and sell their salvage spoils. And as ship munching seems like it might be a ways away, this will help build out the industrialist gameplay, which can also sit nicely alongside ship combat. Now, the salvage missions themselves, the ones I've seen at least, seem pretty cool, starting off with a small fee for a wreck, then working their way up in cost and scope of return. Not only will you acquire the RMC and potential components from these wrecks, but there's also a chance at salvageable cargo, usually low-level stuff like scrap or foodstuffs, though I've found some narcotics on the odd occasion. At the moment, they're all lined up at Lagrange points for ease of access, though you will see other players in close proximity. I hope that in the future, they will be a little bit more sparsely spaced, as even though you're in Comrade territory, the opportunistic player can still take advantage of your vulnerable state as you move RMC or components. The unlawful missions showed up in the personal tab, mostly located in Hurston and Crusader, titled Risky Jobs. They stated I'd have roughly half an hour before security showed up. These tend to be slightly better ships to scrape, though just with the added risk of security or enemy ships arriving. Then there's the free-for-all salvage mission price tagged at 150,000 aUEC called In the Wake of Disaster, a mission that couldn't be shared to party members. At this location there were 6 larger vessels to scrape. My party members at the time noted that they were given the notification they were trespassing, but no penalties or security appeared during the hour or so that we were there, though again this is likely to be addressed as it's currently just testing for the PTU. At that time we checked the mission out, there were only 20 people on the server, so no surprise that nobody else showed up for it. So all in all, 3.19 is shaping up to be a great patch for salvagers and general players alike, with these changes and hopefully touches down in a better state than 3.18 did on its day one. So what do you think? Have you had a chance to try out the PTU? Are you excited for 3.19? Let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate you letting me know by hitting that like button, and if you haven't already subscribed, consider doing so now, and hit the bell icon to be notified when my videos go live. As I mentioned at the start of the video, I also stream on Twitch. I'll leave the link to that in the description below, and memberships for the YouTube are available with badges and emotes, all for the low price point of $1. As always, citizens, stay safe in the verse, and I'll catch you all next time.